What's going on, everyone? This is Harrison with Precision Ingenuity, and today we have a guest, Josh from Layton Machine, who also works with Subtract Manufacturing. Josh, how you doing this morning?
I'm fantastic. Thanks,
Well,
Harrison. How are you?
doing good. It's actually not morning, it's evening.
Long
Oh, man.
days.
My days have been running together like crazy.
That tends to happen when you're busy.
So, Josh, for all of our listeners who haven't maybe heard anything about you, do you mind giving us a little synopsis of like who you are and kind of a little bit of your journey into machining?
Sure, I'll try to sum it up as quickly as I can, I guess. I, 2 years ago, had never heard of a CNC machine. My background is in sales in the IT world. I came across a product that I wanted to buy but couldn't because it had stopped being made. So I decided I was going to try to make it myself. It's a product made out of carbon fiber plating, and at the time I had no idea how to make it. So I just used Chat GPT and asked it, how do you remove material from carbon fiber plating? And CNC machines came up. Long story short, I prototyped the product, fell in love with the process, and now I have two machines and am doing quite a bit of xometry work, and haven't done any with Subtract yet, but that'll change soon. Um, yeah, I just fell in love with the process and just ran with it.
Okay. Now, do you want to do a plug for your wallet real quick? And if people wanted to take a look at that, where would they find
Sure.
that?
So the website is sigmawallet.net. It's a magnetic modular carbon fiber wallet. It's a product that used to be made by a company called Pataka, but like I said before, they stopped making it. And so I checked to make sure that there was no patents on it, and there wasn't. So I decided to pick up where they left off. I can show you the prototype. I actually carry it with me. It's carries 8 cards. The cards just kind of slide in and out there, and then a little spot in the back you can put cash in, and then you can add or take away as many of the plates as you like to make it as small and modular as you want.
Okay, that's cool. So it was an existing product that like no one makes anymore, and you just wanted to see it come back.
Yeah, I it was fun. Somebody that I knew at the time had one, and I saw it and just had that moment. We were like, "Wow, I really want that." And I searched for it, and they weren't selling it through their website anymore. Went to eBay, I think it was,
Mm-hmm.
and found one for sale from a guy in Europe, and he wanted like $3,000 for it. I
Oh,
was like,
geez.
there is no way I'm going to spend $3,000 on that. So I originally was going to try to make one out of wood, actually, because like I said, I hadn't heard of a CNC machine. So I tried to think, oh, how could I embed magnets into something and then put pockets in it? And wood
Mm-hmm.
is just immediately where my mind went. I actually did prototype one out of wood, and it is ridiculously difficult to make products
Yeah.
like this out of wood. But the carbon fiber was a really good material to use. It's nice and stable, doesn't move a lot after machining, as long as you use thick enough carbon fiber. There are some features on it that are super thin, though, and that was the hard part to get dialed in, where the little
Mm-hmm.
tabs that hold the cards in.
So was the original one also carbon fiber, or is that your own
Yes.
twist on it?
Nope,
Okay.
it was carbon fiber. Yep. They had a slightly different way of making it than I did, as far as the patterns for the tool paths,
Okay.
the size of the magnets that they used. Uh, yeah, that was pretty much the only difference. It's a pretty simple product.
Yeah. Now, I haven't machined any carbon fiber. Is carbon fiber pretty much the only material you've machined at this point, or like what are some of the materials you've machined or have experience with up to this point?
Whew. Pretty much any non-ferrous material you can think of, plastic or metal. I've done some mild carbon steel, very little bit of stainless, some Garolite G10 FR4, uh, obviously the carbon fiber, wood, as I'd mentioned. Yeah, pretty much everything except for the really exotic metals. And I've still never cut titanium. That's something that I really want to get into now that I have the 1500.
Okay. So you have the 1500. So with that, okay, you have two machines then. Your first machine you said was an MR1?
That was my first substantial machine, I should say. The first
Okay.
machine I bought was just a little desktop that I prototyped the wallet on. From there, I actually bought a Stepcraft M1000 because it had a
Okay.
tool changer on it. I learned very quickly that that machine is meant to cut wood, not metal. So I ended up trading somebody for the MR1.
Okay.
I've had the MR1 for a little over a year now, and did all but the last 3 jobs that I've taken from Xometry on that machine.
And have you kept that MR1 as a dry process, or do you have some sort of compressed air or mist collection system or mist system on it?
It's got flood coolant. Yeah, it's a
Oh, it
really
does got flood.
simple. It does. It's a very simple flood coolant setup. Excuse me, but it does have one. I do have a forced air system on it as well, but I very rarely use it. Really, only when I'm doing plastic, I'll use that. But yeah, most of the stuff that I do, I use flood coolant on it.
The MR1, I see so many ads for it on YouTube anytime I'm watching stuff, because like, my search history on YouTube, a lot of it is machining related, and that MR1 shows up all the time.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
It's basically like a really rigid gantry router, right?
Yes, exactly. The base of it you fill with concrete and then put epoxy over the top of it.
Gotcha.
And then it's, like you said, it's just a really big gantry style desktop machine that I think it weighs about 900 pounds once you're done assembling it. So it's more rigid than your average desktop machine and a much bigger work area. But it is still technically a hobby machine.
Now, what area does that actually have on that machine?
The travels that I was able to get on it realistically were about 20 and a half by 20 and a half, with a little
Okay.
bit of that taken out in one corner for the tool setter. But I think the largest part I ever made on it was 20 and a half by about 19 and a half, I think were the dimensions of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No tool changer on those.
No tool changer and very limited Z travel. Once I put the Saunders plates on them, I got about 4.5 inches to work with on that.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was very frustrating sometimes, but did a lot of plate work. There's a pretty decent amount of work on Xometry for larger plates.
Yes,
so I was able to stay very busy with that machine. And now that I've got the 1500, kind of having to pivot what I'm looking for as far as work goes.
Yeah. Well, I've interviewed a lot of people that have had, job shop work, but I very rarely get to talk to people who have like the product side of things.
Yeah.
How's that been going for you as like advertising, customer sales? Like how has that been going for you?
Well, it's interesting you asked that. I got through the entire process of prototyping it, getting it all dialed in, dealing with the manufacturers overseas, getting it produced, getting the first batch sent over to me. And then I got to the part where I needed to do the marketing. So I outsourced to somebody from Fiverr to do a marketing deck for me. Everything looked really good. And then it came time to basically put the money behind everything for the marketing. And right about that time is when 2 things happened. One, I kind of was starting to realize that I wanted to make parts out of metal more than I wanted to work with the carbon fiber and do the wallet. And even though I was getting most of the production done overseas, the eventual goal was to bring it in-house. The other thing that happened at that time was I watched a video that John Saunders did where he talked about that automatic target that he was developing, and how at a certain point he just had to walk away from it, and how it ended up being the best decision that he ever made, because sometimes you just have to know when to stop doing something and kind of pivot into something else.
Mm-hmm.
And after watching that video, it made me take a really hard look at, is this wallet really a viable product that I want to put a lot of money into to market it? And the answer was no. I still get questions every once in a while if I'm still doing it, if I've, still getting them produced, and I still have them for sale, but I'm not really actively marketing it. Sometimes my wife will kind of poke me and be like, what are you going to do with those things? They were kind of expensive. You should probably sell them. But I don't know. I kind of got down the rabbit hole of doing job shop work and just totally fell in love with it. And the challenge of solving that problem of seeing a part and figuring out how you're going to make it. And then once you get that figured out, how am I going to make it faster, or how am I going to make it look better? I just love that process. And so for me, it's, the Xometry work just really fits what I like to do a lot better than the wallet.
Okay. So basically when you sell out of your wallets, you're probably not going to do another batch then.
I don't know. It would be very easy to just, call up the people that did it overseas and just say, hey, I need another batch. And they would do it very quickly. I also had to have the magnets custom made. So it was actually two different suppliers. But I still get messages from them on a regular basis asking if I need anything. And so if I were to decide to have more made, I could. But I think I was just talking with my wife about this today. I think what I'm going to do is just kind of do a fire sale on what's left and kind of judge the interest from there. If I feel like there's a reasonable amount of people that would like to buy one past what I have in inventory, then I'll probably do another round. I would probably also make a slight change to it based on some feedback that I've gotten.
Okay. So based on your experience with products and kind of now transitioning to job shop, would you say that down the line you want to continue trying to find some more products and producing them? Or are you going to kind of go down the path of like, maybe something, but really my heart's more in the job shop space?
That's a really good question. At this point, I don't really know. I'm always fascinated with the different types of work holding that you can utilize when you're doing work in a job shop. I find myself making fixtures quite often, and I'd really like to find a way to make some kind of an adjustable, maybe modular type of work holding solution that maybe utilizes Mighty Bites or something like that that's also adjustable. I've made a prototype of one that I've used quite often myself. It's the only problem I haven't solved is how to make it repeatable.
Yeah.
Having to, put the tense indicator on and drag it across a surface every time just isn't something that anybody wants to do over and over again. So that's something that I would have to solve before marketing that. But I don't know. I think products that do well are usually something that solve a problem. And I guess I just haven't come across that problem yet.
So is that okay? That's fair. Okay. Well, it seems how you've been talking about yourself a little bit. Do you have any questions for me specifically? I guess I have another question for you real quick.
Okay.
When did you find our podcast or how did you hear about our podcast?
Yeah. About a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. Most of my education that I've gotten in CNC and doing the work that I do was from YouTube. A lot of John Saunders videos. Started off watching the James Dean Design stuff when I was still doing the wallet and working with the smaller desktop mills. Jay Pearson, Titan Gilroy. There's a ton of them out there that have all this content that teach you how to do all of the machining. And I was just watching that nonstop. And one day I came across one of the videos with either you and AJ or just AJ. And that directed me to the podcast. So I ended up joining as a Patreon, and the rest is history.
Good. Kind of an organic find. That's, no one told you about it. You just found it on your own. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a great community. Ever since I found your podcast and then became a Patreon and joined the Discord, that has been probably the best resource that I've ever found for machining is that Discord channel.
I'd like to point out to listeners that was not scripted.
I am not paid for this advertising.
No, that's good. That's glad. I honestly, I feel bad because I use the Discord probably the least of anyone, and I'm one of the people that helped get it going. But it it is a nice community to like the times that I have gone in there. There's a lot of really good people, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of help in there. So
Yeah, definitely. Case in point, last week when I was getting the 1500 set up, I intentionally didn't take any work for that entire week just so I could get the machine all dialed in, all trimmed everywhere, and then learn how to use it basically because I'd never
mhm.
used PathPilot before then. So I decided to stream on the live channel within the Discord everything that I was doing. And I was really surprised at how many people jumped on and were willing to help. And I just want to say thank you to everyone that helped me through that, especially Norman with Tormach. He was such a huge help, and Greg, he was great help. Jacob, AJ, and I'm forgetting everyone else, but thank you again for all the help. It really got me up and running a lot faster than I would have on my own, and yeah, it was just a great resource.
Now, how long have you had the 1500 at this point?
I bought it a little over a month ago. It showed up, put it in my new shop, and it sat there for about 3 weeks.
Hmm.
I would go visit it every once in a while and clean it up, or do a little bit of work. But I still had such a backlog of work with Xometry and some direct customers that I needed to finish up on the MR1. That I just wasn't able to really spend much time there. So it was very intentional not taking that work for a week just so I could focus on that. And then now, starting this week, I've done 3 jobs on it already.
What do you think of it so far?
Before, I used to tell my wife all the time that with the MR1, I felt like I was performing brain surgery with a pocket knife. Now I feel like I have a scalpel.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it is an amazing machine, especially for the money. For the deal that I got on it and all of the different accessories that it has with it,
Mm-hmm.
I got a screaming deal on it. So thank you, Tom. Appreciate you. I like Jamie said last week, he's like, you're about to be on easy mode. And when I ran the first part, I felt like I was cheating.
Mm.
It just makes it so much easier when you have such a capable machine.
Yeah, I the 1500 kind of pissed me off because it didn't exist when I started.
Right.
So like, no, I mean, I say that tongue in cheek because like we had the 1200 MX, and it was a good machine.
Mm-hmm.
But once we got up to a Haas, I did not want to run the 1200
Right.
anymore. It just had so many
Yeah.
limitations that like I didn't want to do that. But I feel like that if I had started with the 1500, I probably wouldn't have sold it. It just seems like it's got enough going for it that it'd be nice to have in the corner to run some small jobs on, and I'd still
Yeah.
probably happily be running it if
Yeah,
I'd started with that
definitely.
one. So
Yeah, it's a great machine. And I feel like I was very fortunate to enter this world when I did. I watched some of those older videos that John Saunders done, and some of the struggles that he had to go through early on in his career because of the lack of CAM softwares or
mm-hmm.
the machines that were available at the price point he could afford, and just the lack of tribal knowledge in the community that was willing to be shared.
Yeah.
Now that dynamic has completely changed, and so I feel very lucky to to have to be able to lean on all of the information and uh, basically be able to afford a machine that is as capable as it is.
Good deal. Now, do you have a day job that you still do, or have you gone to doing this full time?
No, I still am VP of sales for an IT company in Denver. That takes up a decent amount of my time, but I'm able to kind of schedule my day to where I can do both while I'm also prospecting for clients for the IT job. I can be running the machine and, take a break for 5-10 minutes to go switch out material or switch a tool or something like that, and then go back to doing my day job. So And now that's only gotten easier with the 1500 because of the tool changer and just how fast it is compared to what I'm used to using. So yeah, it's something that I think down the road at some point I will probably not do the IT job anymore. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I don't know, just need a new challenge, I think. But there's I just don't feel like it's quite the right time yet to take that leap into being completely full time with machining.
Yeah. If you've got a stable job that allows you to do machining as a side hustle,
Mm-hmm.
and grow in both experience and equipment and customers and all that stuff while having another job, 100% do it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I've leaned on the advice of the community. There's a lot of people out there that have gone, you know, taken the path that I'm taking right now. And instead of trying to learn the hard way, I'm just listening to what everybody said. Like, don't quit your day job too soon. So yeah, I'm sure when the time is right, I'll know it, and that'll be the
Yeah.
time to pull the trigger.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, there are instances where people hold on to their day job a little bit too long and it hampers their growth. So I've seen it both ways, but I would much rather my side like have a more stable transition by waiting too long than going too early.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like I'm kind of at that precipice right now. I'm like one foot is kind of hanging off the cliff, and I'm still not wanting to quite fall off yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well,
that you're right. It is hampering my ability to take the number of jobs that I could take if I were doing this full time. I think part of it was I had the goal of getting a machine like this for the last year. And it happened actually sooner than I thought it would. But until I knew that I had a capable machine, I didn't want to take that jump because that MR1 it did break down all the time, and I would have to fix it. And luckily, it's pretty simple to work on. But I knew that I couldn't really build a business around it.
now from a cash perspective, is this something that you have been cash flow positive? Have you been tracking the finances separate from your personal finances, or is it all just one big pot?
No, so I learned that lesson the hard way with I have a data cabling business that when I first started that, it was very commingled with our personal finances. So when I started doing the machining seriously, I opened a separate bank account, did an LLC. It's a fully functioning business on its own. No, well, I have put money into it obviously to get started, but the cash flow of it is from its own support.
Okay. And you haven't,
Yeah.
so have you been pulling any money out of it, or has it just been like you bought that Tormach by the work you've done with the MR1?
Yeah. So that was the goal of the business, was every dollar that I make that isn't absolutely necessary to spend in order to do work was going to a savings account so I could buy a better machine as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
I started doing Xometry work. I got accepted by them as a vendor last March. It took me until about, I want to say mid July of last year to get through that first 15 jobs and get bumped up to the next level. And once I did that, from mid July until about a month ago, I had done like 80 jobs with that MR1 and made enough money that it bought me the 1500.
So wait, you did the test part and got accepted onto Xometry with only an MR1?
Yes, actually, I
That,
did the I did the test part on the Stepcraft M1000, and then got the MR1 and started doing the Xometry work on that.
wow, that is seriously impressive.
Well, thank
It
you.
really is.
It took me 9 tries to get the
That
first
that's
one,
that's
but
that's still really impressive.
no, thank you. I appreciate that. It it was very challenging. Had to use very small end mills. I think quarter inch was the biggest it would take, and many different tries and many different setups and ways of going about trying to make it. And then that was really the first part that I had to like hit tolerances on. So that was a struggle at first, especially on that machine. It was, I mean, it's a good machine for playing around with and making wood parts or plastic or something like that. But trying to make an aluminum part on that thing was just, it was really hard. And so stepping up to the MR1, I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is great. You know, it's far more rigid. It's faster. It didn't have a tool changer, but that was okay. So, you know, when I first stepped up to the MR1, I was kind of where I'm at now with the 1500 and saying, wow, this is great. I'm moving up in the world.
Now, is your 1500 like fully optioned out, or is it like basic?
No, the only thing that it doesn't have is the chip conveyor, which I'm hoping to get one of those relatively soon. But it was the prototype that I bought.
Okay.
And so it had everything on it, the mist collector, the tool probe and tool setter, the wireless one, the Micro Arc 6 fourth axis. What else does it have on it? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and it had a Saunders plate on it. So it's got pretty much everything that I could have hoped that it would have. And for the price I paid for it, I just can't say thank you enough to the guy that sold it to me.
Yeah. Now, what was I going to say? Work holding wise, are you using all Saunders work holding, or are you using like a traditional, 4, 5, or 6-inch vise, or are you using any 0-point systems?
So far on the 1500, I've only used the Saunders plate set up with the mod vices. Just because the parts that I had to do didn't really need more than that. I have purchased a 0-point system for the 1500, the Shindian stuff that you get off of Amazon, 52 millimeter, and I've got pretty much everything they sell for it. I just haven't gotten to the point yet where I wanted to make a few parts on it without anything on it first, just so I could get used to the controls and the speed of it, because the rapids can be up to 12 times faster than that MR1 can go. So yeah, I don't think I've turned it up above 30% yet.
Yeah.
So I still have a little bit of getting used to do on that. But once I feel a little more comfortable with it, then I'm going to put the fourth axis on there, and then the 0-point system. And I'd really like to start doing things like AJ does with his not a 5-axis. And then I also bought like the L-shaped plate that goes on the fourth axis so that I can put a 0-point plate on there and get to, I guess it would be 5 sides of the part without having to relocate or without re-indicating.
Yeah. And you'll be better than AJ's not a 5-axis because you have the fourth axis at least.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. And I tried to do that on the MR1 by buying a product that from a guest that you've had on the show a couple of times, the Flux fourth axis setup. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough Z travel in the machine to make it work. Just barely.
Oh man. Fair enough. Well, do you have any questions for me or anything?
Well, first off, how did you like traveling abroad in Japan and Taiwan? Did you enjoy it while you were over there?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. It was awesome. Japan is a very clean country. The people are super polite, super nice. I don't think I saw anyone ever like get upset or frustrated while we were over there. And my wife speaks a little bit of Japanese. And so it was really fun to watch her like try to have conversations in Japanese with some of the locals. And as soon as she started speaking any amount of Japanese, their eyes would just light up and they would just get so excited. And they'd start talking so fast that you'd be like, so.
I know exactly how she feels. I studied abroad in China when I was in college. And you're right. Anytime you start speaking their language as a person that looks like us, it really surprises them. And then they start speaking to you super fast. And you have to say, whoa. I understand maybe 10 words. Calm down.
Yep. And so, she had a lot of really good interactions because of that. And it was a ton of fun. Nice. I think by far the some of the coolest things is like the Shinkansen trains that run around. It's
Yeah.
like it's like taking a plane from a city to city, but the coolest
Hmm.
thing is there's no security lines, and it follows a schedule so it follows the schedule so closely that you can show up literally less than 5 minutes before before the train shows up. It'll pull in, you walk on, and it'll pull off, and it'll be gone within a minute. So it'll show up on time and then be gone within a minute after it says it's going to be there. On to the next, and you just walk on with your luggage and sit down, and you're good to go.
Did they have the guys that stand by the doors and like push everybody in to make sure everybody's crammed in?
No, those
No?
all the Shinkansens we took. Now, if you get to like the more subway, metro type stuff, it gets really packed. But
Hmm.
the Shinkansens themselves, at least all the ones that we rode, weren't packed to the extreme. They were, I would say, anywhere from 30 to 50% capacity.
Oh, okay.
So,
And I think I mistakenly said Taiwan, but you were in Korea too, right?
yeah, yep, we went
Yeah.
to South Korea for a little bit.
Nice.
So,
I've never been there, but heard good things.
yeah, it was also really nice. We really enjoyed that. We were only there for about 3 days, but it was pretty cool to go around. And we went to the War Memorial Museum. We went to just a regular museum, a museum of natural history, I think, or Korean history, and then a palace, Korean
Okay.
palace.
Very
So,
nice. Yeah, that's something that I would really like to do more of is traveling abroad. It's such a great experience to be able to get out of America and just kind of see how other people live and I don't know, just get some culture.
can't recommend it enough for any American. It really changes your perspective. And there's things about other countries that are a lot better. There's things about depending on where you go, you look back to where you have it, the way you have it in the United States, and you go, man, I have it really good, or man, there's certain elements of this culture that I wish we could bring into the U.S. and kind of
Yeah.
incorporate that. And like in Japan, respect is such a big thing,
Hmm.
and it all starts with the education system over there. One thing I learned is that when you're going to school in Japan, they don't have anyone that cleans the schools or anything like that. All the
Oh.
students are always responsible, cleaning the bathrooms, cleaning the classrooms, sweeping the floors, taking out the trash. Like it's ingrained to them from the very beginning that this is your space to take care of, and you need to keep it nice. And you see that play across the culture as a whole.
Mm.
Uh, it was funny because one of the mornings we were going out and going around. We were going to go down to the subway, and I'd gotten a hard boiled egg at a local convenience store, and I was sitting on a bench, and I was cracking it open and trying to get to it, and there was this old lady, this sweet old lady who came over, and I wasn't making a mess. Like as I was breaking up the pieces, I was putting them back in the packaging that it came in
Hmm.
to try to keep all the trash together. And she came over and she was trying to give me like a paper towel and cloths just in case I needed it. And she's like, no, 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 you need this, you need this. And,
Very nice.
and she was super sweet. But like
Yeah,
their
that's
cleanliness is such a big thing for them.
definitely. Yeah, I've heard that. I had a friend that lived in Tokyo for a few years, and that was the first thing that he said when I talked to him is it's just so clean here.
Yeah, it's so clean, but you can't find a trash can anywhere.
Hmm. Interesting.
So you carry your trash with you until you either get back to your hotel or a lot of the subways. Well, the two places you can reliably find trash cans is the subway system. There's usually one or two hanging around there, and convenience stores. Those are kind of your
Hmm.
best two locations. Otherwise, you're not going to really find them anywhere.
It's a good travel tip.
So, and Japan has like some of the lowest inflation of the last 30 years of any country.
Hmm.
And so like
Interesting.
I could go to Starbucks and get some coffees with my wife for half the price that I could in the US.
Wow.
Um and so it was really cheap, and The other thing that was kind of interesting is like, you know how like when you go into airports and the in America, like the food basically triples like
Yeah.
as soon as you get through security.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't do that in Japan. It's basically the same price no matter which side of the gate you're on, and that's really nice to like be able to go through security, and then if you want to grab something before you get on the plane, it's basically the same price as if you're walking down the street and went to a convenience store.
Yeah, that is nice. Now you got me wanting to go to Japan.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I highly recommend it. I've been very blessed in my life, and I've been able to travel to a lot of different countries, and Japan is definitely one of the nicer ones that I've gone
Nice.
to.
Yeah, I've been to a handful of other countries, but not nearly as many as I would like. And my wife definitely is poking me all the time to go on vacation. So I think our next one that we do is probably going to be a pretty big one. We never did actually get to do our honeymoon when we got married. She was in school full time to be a nurse practitioner and working full time. I was in school full time and working full time then. So, and we were building a home at that time. So it was just not a good time to be traveling, but it's something that we talk about often that we want to do that. So I think we're looking at possibly going to Croatia and kind of that part of Europe.
Oh yeah, yeah. We also didn't have our honeymoon, but it was because of COVID. We got married in the middle of
Oh,
that.
bummer. Yeah, we got married just right after it. We got married in 2021. So I think it was literally a few weeks after they relaxed the 50 person in one area rule, because we were worried that we wouldn't be able to have everybody at our wedding that we wanted to. And then they changed the rule right before. So got lucky.
Yeah, yeah. But even though we didn't get to do that, we've gotten to travel now twice, just me and my wife. And I come from a big family. All the traveling that I've done has been in a large group. So traveling with just me and my wife is kind of a new experience. And it's been a ton of fun to have some time with her to just go out by ourselves and go do something fun. And so I
Nice.
really enjoyed that.
Very nice.
So
Changing the topic a little bit, I think last I had heard you were about to get more power to your shop, right? Has that happened yet?
So they are in the process. We're waiting on the power company to install a new pole. So
Okay.
everything's wired up, everything's ready to go. We're just waiting on them. So
Always waiting on the power company.
yeah. So thankfully, we haven't needed it. We have run all 5 machines. In fact, all 5 machines were running today. And I think depending on different peaks of like when the machines kick up and kick on, we've gotten close to hitting 200 amps several times, but we've never gone over. And I would say we average about 120, but we can spike up to about 180 or so. Just depends on what each machine is doing. And thankfully, most of the work we've been doing has not been a lot of hogging. It's been a lot of small parts. I imagine if we were doing bigger parts in these machines, we'd be drawing a lot more power, and we'd start having issues.
Yeah.
So
And then you're doing an addition soon too to the shop, right?
we're planning on doing an addition. I was hoping we would be a little bit further along with it, but realistically, we are about 2 months behind where I was hoping we'd be at this point financially. And we've just had so much stuff going on at the beginning of this year that we're kind of behind what we were hoping to be right now. And it's kind of put a financial strain. And so we've had to kind of change some of our plans. But to kind of go into a little bit of detail on some of that stuff, I basically got 4 different production parts all at the same time and trying to get them approved and all of the processes and steps. Some of them are heat treated, some of them are anodized, some of them are electropolished. There's outside process, outside vendors. We have tight tolerance features on anodized parts, which we haven't dealt with in the past. So that's kind of new, trying to figure out what we need to machine them to where after anodized, they come back good. And then we were trying to get AS9100 certified. We were trying to get power run. I ended up doing my Japan trip, and then my brother got married. And so it's just been so much stuff going on that like it's we haven't been able to get the production parts rolling quite like we wanted to. However, this week we got approved to run the production job on 2 of the parts, and tonight is the first night I'm running the robot on the new parts. We've been running it throughout the day, making sure that there's no problems, and so tonight is the first night that we're running that. And then I also have the SVM running a different set of parts that's also production, but I can load up a big sheet and get about 5 hours of runtime. And so I'm running that. I can, if I do it the right way, I can get 2 batches during the day and then 1 batch at night. And so that's pretty nice.
Nice. Yeah, doing that lights out. That's got to be just totally changing your business to be able to run your machines overnight.
Oh yeah. The fact that we've done 2 months without it is what's really put the hurt on, because like we had those magwells last year, which they kind of decreased the quantities this year, but last year we had that all year, and that provided a very healthy baseline that we could always count on. Mm-hmm. And as soon as that disappeared, we've seen how vulnerable the business is without having something like that constantly going in the background. So the good news is that I'm picking up more and more production parts, but they have higher complexity to them and more steps in them. And so it's been a lot of growth in mastering different styles of parts in production. Our first production part, we got really lucky. It was really simple, not super tight tolerances. It allowed us to kind of get into that, step into that production world pretty easily. And now we're starting to see some of the more complicated production parts, and we're kind of adapting to that. So
yeah, that's something that that I see in the work that I get too, is I'm constantly trying to challenge myself without stepping too far, and grow in my capabilities. And I'm curious, how do you feel? How do I put this? Do you feel like you have a lot more efficiencies that you can gain in your process, or do you feel like you've kind of plateaued and you're right there?
No, I constantly find new things to improve. I have yet to not find something that I can improve, even on a process that I've been running for a year. Like if I look at it with fresh eyes, or I learn something new and I go, oh, I can apply this over here. And then that might unlock something else. And I go, oh, I can apply that over here. I feel like every day I come into the shop, there's something new I can learn that day. And then I can apply it to everything else that I'm doing, which means that the next time I run a part that I've run 3 other times, like we have parts that, I've run on the Tormach all the way to today. And I feel like every time I, open up an old version of a part that I've, I made in 23, then 24, then 25, and then this year, if you go back through that, we have that version history.
Yeah.
That every next time I make that part, I'm changing out tools, I'm changing strategies, I'm making it better, or I'm making it faster, or I'm making it more reliable. Like there's always new things that I've learned that I can apply to old parts. And I very rarely open up a part and go, it's perfect. I don't need to do anything to it. All that does is I get to open it up and look at it and go, okay, I can see how much I can see things from a different perspective and how I can improve them. And then I can try something new and I can go, okay, yeah, that was a lot better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was interesting. I kind of had felt like I had gotten my processes really dialed in with that MR1 right about the time I got the new machine. And now it's all changed. But that's good. I enjoy the challenge. So if you're not growing or learning, then, what's the point?
Yeah, I'll give you an example real quick of something just from this week. So like for running, we run a lot of stainless. That's probably our second most common material. And I've gone all in on 5-flute tooling for stainless and high efficiency strategies. And one problem that I've had for a long time that I just never had a good solution for was the thin piece of material. Like, when you grab onto it for op one, I usually have anywhere from an eighth inch to 3/8 of an inch, depending on how tall the part is, of material from that first side. That when you flip over, you need to eat that off. And I've tried face mills, I've tried high feed mills, I've tried end mills, and everything that I try has had some sort of downside to them. And so what I've always done is I've always just gone to a 5-flute end mill doing a high efficiency strategy. And so this week we got a couple 4-flutes using a traditional roughing from Frasia, and the tool load is stable. The cuts are quiet. I can't hear them; they're whisper quiet. And so I think the tool is just going to last a lot longer. We're buying shorter tools, shorter 4-flutes, and so it's kind of an experiment to see. But if it all works out, it's actually also faster. It's slightly faster than the 5-flutes, because the 5-flutes are designed for deep engagement, and if they don't have that engagement, then their material removal rate goes slow. Whereas with the 4-flutes, I can do more of a traditional strategy where I can have a larger step over with a slower SFM and a slower feed per tooth, but it's still faster machining time.
Yeah.
So
I was talking with Joel from Frasia earlier this week, actually. We spent like an hour and a half talking about their speeds and feeds calculator and tool selection software that they have on their website. And he was kind of going over it all with me and trying to find the right tooling for me to use on the 1500, because I want to take that next step into different materials like stainless and titanium. And I would even like to try some of those really high nickel content alloys at some point. But right now I just don't have the tooling for that, because I've done mostly non-ferrous stuff. So I was just kind of going over with him strategies, and I had never really considered buying their tooling before because it's expensive. But after going over all of this stuff with him and the cutting strategies and why they make the tools the way that they do, I'm really excited to try them just to see the difference. Yeah.
I've been real happy with Frasia. And one thing I found out, because I did call and talk to a rep a week ago, or maybe it was before I went on my Japan trip. I don't remember. It was a little bit ago. Was that carbide prices are going up like crazy right now? But Frasia is not changing their prices for at least a year. I think September is their end of their financial year, or their physical year. So So until around that point, their pricing is locked in, which is pretty nice, because as everyone else's prices are going up, theirs is looking cheaper and cheaper.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's starting to level out a little bit.
So,
but yeah, that's something that now that I've got a better machine, that's something I didn't really think about much before, was tool life, because I was running at such slow speeds and feeds and short, really narrow step overs, depths of cut with that MR1, just because of its lack of rigidity, that tools lasted forever. And now I'm definitely going to be pushing the envelope the more and more I get to know the 1500. And that's something that now I'm going to have to take into account is the tool life. So, I kind of look forward to, just trying different brands and different strategies and seeing what works the best.
Yeah. That is the one thing that I've learned about this industry, is that the more you know, the more you don't know. It seems like
that's the truth. That is the truth.
But that's what keeps me engaged, and that's what keeps me excited for everything that's going on here, is the fact that I'm not going to be bored. I'm never going to be bored.
Yeah. I wish I had found this career 20 years ago. I don't know if mentally I would have been in the right place to enjoy it as much as I do now, but this industry and this job just totally fits me personality wise, like glove.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's we've been very blessed in it for the short time we've been in it so far. And in fact, my uncle came by today and we were talking about the business and he was like, a lot of businesses that he's seen, after 5 to 10 years, they start plateauing. And he's like, looking at how you guys are, he's like, I don't see you guys plateauing for a very long time. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, I was like, there is always something else. And I still feel like I'm at the start line, even though I look back and we've come a long ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I just in following your journey, you seem to have done a very good job of capitalizing on the opportunities that have been put in front of you
Mm-hmm.
and making good decisions with the capital that you do have.
Yeah.
Seems like you've grown very intelligently.
I've tried to put a lot of thought into our growth strategy, and I definitely feel like it's been more of a long term strategy. And what it has done is it has allowed me to take on those opportunities when they present themselves. Because I find that you never know when an opportunity is going to present itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are able to take advantage of it when it pops up, that's what truly allows you to grow. Because there you will constantly have opportunities that show up. And if you can't take advantage of them, that's when you start feeling like you're stagnating.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good insight. I'm curious. A lot of the work that you do, you can't really talk about. I'm assuming because you're under NDA or it's firearms related or something like that. Um, how would you categorize most of the work you're doing now, as far as like an industry or size or material? Do you kind
Yeah,
of have a theme that you're kind of into on a track, or is it just kind of a wide range of stuff that you're doing?
I would say the number one thing that we have tried to focus on is small to medium sized parts. So I just sent an email to someone who was reaching out. They have a large titanium part that they wanted us to do, and I told them that we wouldn't be a good fit. It was something like 30 inches long by like 5 inches wide by like 2 inches thick. And so we could technically fit it on our equipment, but it wasn't a good fit for our process.
Yeah.
And so, to that customer, trying not to miss out on any opportunities, I said, hey, listen, we can do that, but that's not really a good fit for us. We're not going to be competitive on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's work that we're not comfortable taking. And the way I broke it down for them is I said that the largest part we like to do is typically about 16 to 18 inches in length, about 8 inches wide, and about 3 inches thick. And we can do that size range in quantities of 1 to 200 a year, if you're looking for
Mm-hmm.
production type work. And then if you drop it down and you drop it down to say, 6 to 10 inches long, six, 4 to 6 inches wide, and less than 2 inches thick, then we could do quantities up to maybe 1,000 parts a year of that size,
Mm-hmm.
pretty comfortably. And then if you drop it down to under 6 inches long, under 3 inches wide, and under about an inch and a half tall, 2 inches to an inch and a half tall, then we can, the size, the volume goes up to where, we could do, 10 to 20,000 parts a year. And I said, that's really, you know, trying to stay in that size range and that volume range based on the size has kind of been the
Yeah.
key for us.
Yeah. And is that mostly regulated by the type of work holding that you use and the amount of density you're able to get on the table, or what kind of drives that, I guess?
So what drives that is that we want to always be able to run parts through a machine, as many setups as it takes, and get a finished part every cycle.
Mm.
So it's based on, if it's one op, two op, three ops, how big can I fit it on the table? The bigger plate stuff, I can touch it 3 or 4 times if I
Mm-hmm.
have to, but I don't like doing that. I like hitting cycle start, getting one, two, three, four ops, however many ops it takes, however many vices it takes to hold them, or unique work holding. If I can fit it in my machine and I can get it all set up where I can move stuff down the line and get a finished part every cycle. That's kind of what drives it more than anything else.
Okay. Makes sense.
that and we want to make sure the parts aren't so big that we have to get support equipment to load it in and out of our machines.
Yeah.
So it's also a weight issue. We want to make sure that, like, if I can hold it out at full arms extension and set it into a vise comfortably without worrying about damaging the part or something else.
Yeah, I've definitely done some parts before where that was an issue. I definitely wouldn't have been able to hold it all out at, arm's length and not damage something. But now that I have that different machine, I don't know that I'll be taking on that big a part anymore, but I guess we'll see. I keep getting asked. Just in the last week, there was a couple of parts that came through the Subtract network that we didn't really have a good fit for, and luckily somebody took it, and I wasn't the one that ended up having to do it, because now that I've used the 1500, I don't want to use the MR one anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about, where you have to know when to say no to a potential customer. There's been some jobs that in my capacity with Subtract that I've had to just no quote on, because either we didn't have the capacity to do it on the network, or it just didn't seem like a good fit, or the price point wasn't where they wanted it to be. That being said, we have done a lot of quoting recently with Subtract. The average weekly amount that we're quoting is definitely growing. And hopefully that continues to grow in number. But yeah, sometimes you just have to know when to say no.
Yeah. And in the beginning, we wouldn't say no. If there was any way we could fit it into our equipment, we would try to do it. And I think in the beginning, you have to do that to figure out what's a good fit for you, because what's a good fit for me isn't going to be a good fit for the next guy. And the stuff that I enjoy doing might not be something that someone else enjoys doing.
Yeah.
And so if you can find that sweet spot between work that you enjoy doing, work that you can do well, and work that is a good fit for what you have, when you can kind of get those things to kind of intersect, that's when you find your sweet spot.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of intersecting, we should probably do Patreons now, huh?
Yeah. So we're kind of getting down to the hour mark, so let's look at Patreons. So we have something new this week. One of our Patreons, we have a sponsored spot. And so this will be our first ad read for our sponsors. So Mike at G28 Machining, thank you for sponsoring. We greatly appreciate it. So G28 Machining is a precision CNC job shop focused on solving tough problems, reverse engineering, repair work, and production overflow. We also, they also run live tooling lathes and 5-axis mills to handle complex parts efficiently. They are also an 0702 FFL manufacturer producing firearm components, including silencers, which is super cool. If you've got a problem and if you've got a problem part or need a reliable backup capacity, send it their way. So Mike at G28 Machining. Mike, if you hear this, if you have anything you want to add about best ways to reach out to you through Instagram or a website or however else you want people to contact you, please let us know and we'll add that in so that they can make sure that they can get a hold of you efficiently. So yeah, Mike, thanks for sponsoring the podcast. And now let's go on to our other Patreon members. Brian at Headco, Ben at Black Fox, Matt at Modern Fuel, Russell M, Joshua E, Brian B, Jacob S, Chris at CDS Plastics, John S, Alex H, Avery M, Chris B at Puda Creek Precision, Josh at Layton Machine, which is our guest. Mylan Y, Devin C, Alex at Mill City Roasters, which we love your coffee, Christian O, Stephen M, Horse Pulverized Incorporated, Daniel R, James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Strato Manufacturing, Kyle at Curse Machine, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, Greg at Frogtown MFG, James N., Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes, Cam S., Shep at Alderson Prototyping, Jacob at Zonum Precision. Man, this list is getting long.
Yes, it is.
Jason S., Joshua H., Christian Z., Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z2Z Systems, Trey V., Alexander B., Scott at Design the Everything, Jamie's at Nautical Work Holding, Chris at Zyke Precision, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, drum roll please, Jake Ronson.
Nice.
Oh goodness. I'm so
that
glad
list
I
is
do not
really long.
I am so glad I do not have to read that every week, and that AJ has to read that every week.
You should just do a recording of it from now on, and then just play that over and over again, and just add to it.
If we do that, we need to find a way to like do it in like a Siri voice, or like an AI version of our voice that's like refined in some way. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I was scrolling through that list today. It's got to be like 40 people now, right? Maybe more.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it just goes to show that you guys put out a great show, and it's entertaining to watch.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. I got into podcasting because I wanted the opportunity to meet cool people. And I will say it has been a very good resource for that. It is for my selfishness of being able to meet more people. I have really enjoyed doing this podcast.
Nice.
So
how long have you been doing it now?
I feel like 2.5 years, and I think in August it'll be 3 years, I think.
Yeah, because this is episode, it's got to be like 160, 159, yeah.
Yeah, which I forgot to say at the very beginning. By the way, it's episode 159. So yeah. We want to thank our Patreons, and now we're on to the Q&A. Trevor at Jacob Dynamics. For Harrison, what were the deciding factors and thresholds you set for your business before you took the plunge and financed your first Haas machine? So the deciding factors were market demand for my customers. Basically, existing customers that I had, what were the parts that they were sending me that I wanted to capitalize on, but was uncomfortable doing with my current equipment. And I wanted to basically be able to grab as much of that as I could, and also other customers in the area that I didn't have at that time that I knew about, that if I had that machine would allow me to go talk to them to try to drum up some more work. So basically, the deciding factors were, what is the most amount of work? What do I need in a machine to be able to capture a large portion of work to where I can keep that machine busy? And then the threshold that I was looking for is, if I was to stop growing the business, and let's just say, we'll just throw some numbers out there. Let's just say my business was generating at that time, $100,000 to $150,000 a year. And I needed to pay my salary and Weston's salary and be able to buy equipment, or be able to buy material and tools and tool holders and inspection equipment, like all of my normal expenses. Do I have enough overhead, or do I have enough excess revenue generation at that point to afford the monthly payment without my business growing at all? That is the minimum threshold that I needed to meet before I was comfortable doing it. The bigger picture was, okay, if I plot my growth on a graph for at that point was a very, about a year or two of business, what does that graph look like? And has it been holding, how stable is it? Is it, is it up and down constantly? Is it a nice continual growth up? Is it, a flat level going down sometimes? Like, what does that graph look like? and how comfortable am I that it's going to continue in that trajectory. And that's something that over time, something that I do with our business is that I plot on a weekly basis how much we're generating. And I have graphs of that over all the way back from first year to current year, all overlaid on a single page. So I can look at how the business is growing today versus all the way back when we first started. And so I have all those years graphed out, and I can see the trend lines, and I can look at, that's one of the points, or one of the data points I look at to track the business's growth, in addition to stuff like what's in the bank account and other things, to kind of make a decision as to, is it okay for us to buy the next piece of equipment, and and whatnot. So you got anything that you've based off my answer or the question that you want to add?
I am not doing a great job yet of tracking everything like you do as far as the financials go. I have everything running through a single bank account, and I kind of just look at that at the end of the month and say, this was my expense, this is what I made. And I need to, I think, start doing a better job of forecasting and kind of planning the trajectory, and I guess coming up with more of a solid business plan as far as the financial side goes. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to add.
Yeah, we started off with profit first, and we started off with just an Excel sheet, and every week we would put how much money we made, and we've been doing that up to this day. And even though we have other financial tools available to us that can provide other insights, that one thing that we've carried over from the day one of the company has given us a very high level picture of the health of the company at a glance.
Yeah.
So, and it's very, very beneficial.
Yeah, it's definitely important to have, especially when, I guess, not that you're a huge company, but you're at a much bigger place than I am. So to me, you're a giant, and to have that information is definitely invaluable.
Yeah, and I would say one of our superpowers is that we started tracking that information from day one. That was like one of the very first things we did. I can go all the way back to the very first week we took a job, and I can see how much money we made that week, which FYI was not very much. So
yeah, when I first started doing the Xometry work, I'm pretty sure I was losing money, but
yeah,
it was intentional, just to get through that first 15 parts. But yeah, it's a struggle in the beginning for sure.
Oh yeah, and basically the first year, every job we took, we had to buy something, and there was no profit left over by the time you were done because we'd spend it to be able to do the job. But
yeah,
that compounded over time.
Oh, definitely.
So
I've definitely noticed that as you move up the rungs of the ladder in this industry, everything gets more and more expensive exponentially.
Everything gets more and more expensive, but then the foundation you've laid behind you supports that.
Right. Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
In the beginning, buying a $50 or $100 end mill, hurts a lot.
Yeah.
And versus today, it still hurts, but I'm buying 10 of them at a time instead of one of them, and I'm not thinking about it at the same level I did back then.
Yeah.
And so
I think back to about a year ago, and the thought, like you said, of spending a few $100s on end mills was just unfathomable to me. And today I had to call Tormach and spend over $2,000 on a new tool setter because it just stopped working. And while it hurt, like you said, it's just kind of something you're used to at this point. Is there's going to be expenses, and you're going to have to replace stuff, and it costs money.
Yep. All right, let's go to the next question. Brian at Headco, for both of you, have you ever had to fire a customer, and why?
Yeah, I'll start this one out. I have definitely had to fire a customer or 5. Not in the machining world yet, but in my IT job, there have been a few that it's amazing how one toxic person, whether they be an employee or a customer, can just completely change your business and make it start going downhill. And it just kills morale. It kills your productivity. It kills your profitability. And knowing when to draw the line between good customer service and saying, you know what, I think it's better that you find somebody else to do X for you. It's a hard decision to make, but the times that I can remember having to do it was when customers were starting to get abusive with staff. Like they'd get on the phone and just start treating them really badly. And, you hear about it once and you're like, oh, they must have been having a bad day. You hear about it twice and you're like, this doesn't seem right. And then you hear it about a third time and it's a pattern. And I think that's when it's time to just say, you know what, I think there's other people out there that might be able to help you in a better way, that are more aligned with what your expectations are.
Yeah. For us, we have had to fire customers, although I will say it's a balancing act, because a lot of times what we have done is it's not necessarily firing a customer, it's firing a part of the business to focus on better stuff. So,
yeah,
for example, Cerakoting or barrel threading or RMR cutting or some of the laser stuff we used to do. Like there's elements of the business that in the beginning we had a broad range of capabilities, but we've been narrowing down what work we're willing to take on so we can focus and be better set up for that type of work. And that has made us more profitable. But as for specific customers, there's a handful that come to mind, and the ones that I have had to kind of let go, they're the type of customer that when they walk in the door, you just go,
yeah.
And so you do that enough times and you go, I'm just done dealing with you.
Yeah.
And so we've had that happen a couple times, and for various reasons, which I won't get into, but having that comfort level and that confidence in yourself to go, listen, I don't need you. You need me more than I need you. And for my business to be healthy, and for my employees to be happy, and for me to be happy and to be not stressed out, we need to part ways, because it just isn't working. We aren't the best fit for you. You aren't the best fit for us. Like we just got to go our separate ways, because something's not working, and it's not worth my sanity to accommodate you. And
definitely.
And so, and it just makes for a happier environment. And I love all my customers that I have right now, and they love me. And I wouldn't want to take on someone that I stress about every time I see their name pop up on my computer screen, or my phone rings with their name, or I see them walk in my door. Like I've got enough problems to deal with that I don't want that to be one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife's in the medical field, and there have been a lot of studies surrounding stress and premature aging and early death. And, it's just overall bad health due to the stress that's in your life. And life is too short to be stressed out all the time. And I say that being a chronic stress freak, but
yeah,
it's something that as I get older, I try to be more mindful of, is to try to just not be so stressed all the time. And when you have customers that add to that, it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah. All right. Brian also had a second question. This one was specifically for me. Is there any takeaways from visiting Matsuura that you can implement in your own shop? There are a lot of takeaways that I could implement. Some of the biggest ones is the environment there was very quiet. And so I felt like it was a really easy environment to stay focused in. And this kind of goes back to my like shop. And whenever I do eventually move into a different shop, the acoustics of the shop is going to be very important to me in my next shop. And I'm going to make sure that I have a lot of sound deadening built into the shop, because right now I have the opposite. I have a lot of metal. My whole roof is just metal sheeting, and it just reflects the sound, and it is so loud in the shop. And when I visited Matsura, everything was so quiet. And it was just a really nice environment to work in.
And what was the design of their work area? Was it just like, how did they deaden the sound in there and make it so quiet?
I think a lot of it was high ceilings was one. Like if you've ever gone to IMTS, they have high ceilings in there, and you feel like the sound just evaporates when you talk.
Yeah.
And so some of that is kind of how it was there. Some of it was that they weren't making a lot of noise either. You know, I visited the assembly plant. I didn't see their manufacturing where they're actually running machines, but just the assembly plant in general, I felt like, and this is kind of something I felt about the Japanese culture in general, is they're busy, but they're not rushing. And when you're rushing, it seems like you're always making more noise than you could if you were just taking your time. And so everywhere I looked, people were busy, but I didn't see anyone that was stressed out or trying to work fast, or like it was a consistent 60% work speed from everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I have to remind myself to do that pretty much every day. I just get going and I just want to do everything at the fastest pace that I can. And that's when you make mistakes or cut yourself on something, or, do something stupid. And I can't remember who said this, but it's one of the Insta machinists that slow is fast and fast is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that was something that I definitely saw there that I could definitely do more of. And I have seen days of that in my shop where I don't rush, but I just work at a consistent pace. And I feel like I get so much more done, and I'm so much less stressed by the end of the day and worn out.
Yep.
So that's something that, like, it's hard to do when you're stressing. I naturally try to speed up, and that can cause more problems than it helps.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you have are there any ways you can implement any of that in your current shop?
Some of the stuff is just processes, and it's stuff that we're trying to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so, is there anything specifically that I can do? Nothing that I feel like we aren't already trying to do on some level. I feel like if I was to, if there was anything that I could embrace from them, I think it would take shifting some stuff around to really take advantage of it. And it would take a lot of investment to be able to really take advantage of some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we're pretty optimized. Like I constantly find things that we can optimize more. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like we're in a pretty good place today, and we're constantly striving to get better. So like, we do weekly meetings every Monday with everyone on the team, and we have a whiteboard in the shop. And if anyone thinks of any improvement, we go and we write it on the whiteboard so that we can look at it in the weekly meetings, and then we document those improvements in the meetings, or those ideas in the meetings, and we keep reviewing them until that change has been implemented in a way that everyone is happy with, and then it gets marked off.
Yeah, sounds like a good system.
So I have a backlog of improvements that I need to do already.
Well, it'll keep you busy.
So So like I feel like a lot of the improvements that I see that we could implement are things that have already been on my radar in some shape or form due to time constraints I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah. And has that trip now changed in your mind how you're going to design that new edition?
Not that new edition specifically. We were already planning on like there's been takeaways from our current shop that are kind of similar to what I've seen there. I can't do taller ceilings in that shop because of the roof line, so I
Yeah.
can't do that. But we are talking about trying to make it more sound deadened and trying some different techniques to try to get an idea of what could be better. That way, whenever we do move to our next building, if we have the opportunity to renovate, or if we renovate an existing building or move into a pre-existing building and do no renovations, what do we need to look for? Or if we find some land to build a new building from the ground up, how do we want to design it?
Yeah. Nice.
So, all right. Next question from Patrick B. What part of your business holds the most risk? Can something be changed to mitigate that risk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So for us, the most risk that we have is all of the notes we have on all of our equipment that is due every month. We are well into the five figures of monthly dues on all of our equipment. And to mitigate that risk, once we start getting our cash reserves built back up, we want to try to focus on getting a machine or two paid off early as much as possible and avoid buying new equipment as much as possible until we can try to take some of that overhead and get rid of it.
Yeah.
And apart from that, we're constantly, the focus that we have in the business is constant. It's risk mitigation where possible, and that way we can take risky bets when they present themselves if they're worthwhile. And so one example of that is we are in the food industry, the medical industry, the defense industry, and the firearms industry right now. And so we're trying to diversify the different industries as much as possible because typically when one goes down, another goes up.
Yeah.
So, and we're trying to make sure that no one customer is more than between 30 to 40% of the total revenue generated by the company.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's a good segue into my answer is I think that's the biggest risk that my company has is I have all my eggs in the Xometry basket for the most part right now. That was one of the reasons that I joined the Patreon was to get on the Discord to try to get on the Subtract network to, try to, branch out into different ways to get customers. I still haven't done a good job of diversifying there. I have been able to take on a couple of clients outside of Xometry recently, which I'm hoping will lead to more and more. But sometimes I have to remind myself that I'm still really early in this, and sometimes I kind of get ahead of myself with thinking I should be somewhere when I'm actually probably in the right spot.
yeah.
But that's definitely something I think about all the time is how am I going to diversify my client base? On the flip side of your answer, I have all my machines paid off right now. So I don't have any dues to pay, as you say, but that doesn't mean that in the future I won't. I'm open to the idea of, purchasing a machine if the right opportunities present themselves. Jacob asked me sometime last week, what the next machine would be if I were to get one. And I think I'm kind of torn between either a 5-axis or a mill turn. Mill turns are really expensive, but if you get one of those, you can make pretty much anything on those. Mm-hmm. Whereas a 5-axis, they're a little less pricey, but still pretty expensive. But I just haven't really gotten any opportunities for work that would necessitate either one of those. And my business is still too immature to even be thinking about that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say stuff can go a lot faster than you think from experience.
Yeah, I'm sure you can tell me some stories about that.
Yeah. I don't know if you were a listener back when we got our Magwell job, but at that point we had one machine financed, and we had just moved into the new facility in the new building. We had been in there less than a year at that point, and we got an RFQ that was too big for us to handle with our current equipment. We put in, we got it in at like noon. We put in our bid at around like an hour or two later, and then we were awarded that bid less than an hour after that, or we were awarded the job less than an hour after that, and
Wow.
then an hour or two later, we put in a purchase order for a new piece of equipment.
That's quite the timeline.
From lunch to quitting time, we bid a job, we won a job, and we bought a machine. So like,
wow,
stuff can happen really fast.
Yeah.
If you know the stars align.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's kind of, you know, when that opportunity presents itself, we try to jump on it as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's done well for us.
Yeah, and you have 5 machines now, you said?
5. Yep.
Yeah. So you've purchased 4 machines in the course of a year-ish?
Well, it'd be more if you look at it like so. We bought the UMC, the robot, the CMM, and the lathe all in the same year. And then 6 months before that, we had bought the SVM, the Doosan SVM.
Okay. Yep.
So in about a year and a half, we had 5 major purchases. So
that'll make your head spin.
Yes, very much so. And you know, it all kind of depends on your tolerance for risk, because I've had a lot of people who have looked at the moves that we have made and they go, "How can you sleep at night?" Like that would stress me out so much. And I've lost, you know, some sleep here and there, but I have a lot of confidence in the growth of the business. And a lot of that comes from just tracking our growth so closely. And I can look at it and I can go, okay, you know, even if we maintain our current level, I'm okay with taking this jump. If we maintain our current level, I'm okay with taking this jump. Or this is a really big opportunity that will give me a year's worth of work. Even if this work dries up a year from now, I will find more work to put on this machine by that point. That gives me a year runway to figure out something else to do with this machine if that work dries up.
Yeah.
So it's
nice.
It's been a very productive ride so far. And we haven't crashed and burned yet.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. Knock on all the wood.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Kyle at Cursed Machine. For Harrison, when laying out your current shop, how many employees did you size it for? How did you target the number and do you have a target number of employees for your business in general? So when we sized our current shop, when we first got this building, the idea of it was to get us out of my dad's garage. And it was not our forever shop. It was the best opportunity that we had within the reach of our financial grasp at that point in time. And so it is not our forever shop. And I said this when we moved in, and my dad said I was crazy, but I said, I hope this building can, at the rate of growth that I've seen, even from us being in the garage shop, I said, I really hope this building lasts us 5 years. We are basically tied, if not been in this building a couple months longer than we were in the garage shop. And we're already looking at addition and more power and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so, and that's been basically 2 years. So I'm less than halfway through the time that I thought I would be in the shop, and I'm already busting at the seams. So, as for my target number of employees in the business in general, I have always said 10 to 15 employees is kind of the target that I would like to hit, or around 20 million a year in revenue. Whichever one comes first. That's kind of the size I eventually like to get up to. Is somewhere in that ballpark. It could go higher, but like I don't. If I had 10 to 20 people at that point, I would want to see how high I could build that revenue with that size of team. I don't want to necessarily set a revenue limit, but that's kind of a target pie in the sky goal I would like to get to at some point. So
Nice.
But yeah, what about you? Do you have plans for employees? A target amount of employees? How much space do you have in your current building for equipment? And what's your kind of your growth trajectory look like in your eyes today?
Yeah, as it stands right now, I just am migrating from the garage to about 500 square foot, basically pole barn with a concrete floor. That is a very temporary space. I don't think I'll be there more than a year, mainly because my wife and daughter want to move. So I think we're going to be leaving Colorado after next year. That being said, at this point, I don't really want to have employees. I would like to just build myself, a shop that I can run myself and try to keep all of the spindles busy if I can. But my plan right now is to not take on any debt for machines. Now, like I said before, if the right opportunity presents itself, I would be open to it. But I would really like to just use the machines that I have to pay for the next one and not have to have that overhead of a machine payment. So yeah, right now I just want to keep it to myself. I get the feeling that that's going to change because everything that I've planned for so far has been way different. It turned out way different than I thought it was going to. And so I'm just trying to keep an open mind and just kind of roll with the flow. But yeah, as far as I'm planning right now, it's just going to be me.
Yeah. Okay. Nothing wrong with that at all. So, yeah. We'll see. I mean, the business is still young. There's a lot that could change for both of our businesses 5 years down the line. Do you or have you made a plan, like a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, a 6-month plan? Like have you planned anything and gone, okay, this amount of time down the road, I want to be here?
So I had an idea in my head of where I wanted to be in a year, but now that I'm part of Subtract, that has changed a bit. That is, I think, going to be kind of my main focus going forward is trying to grow Subtract. If the machining business kind of gets sucked into Subtract, like AJ talks about Audacity Micro kind of getting sucked into Subtract, then so be it. Or if I just need to keep it separate and just do that on my own, that's fine too. But my plan has changed pretty drastically just in the last couple of months because of my involvement with Subtract now and what we plan to do with it and where we want to take it. So that's a kind of a non-answer answer. Yeah, I just don't really know how to plan for the future right now because I don't know exactly what the future is going to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
whether it's going to be me focusing more on Subtract or me focusing on Subtract and the machine shop, or if the machine shop just kind of becomes a hobby again and then Subtract is the only thing I'm focusing on, I just don't know. So I guess as that progresses, then that will kind of dictate, what my plan becomes.
Okay. So just listening to you talking there, are you more involved with Subtract than just a shop on the network?
Yes.
Okay.
I am now the director of sales for Subtract, and we are still figuring out exactly what my role is, because it started with AJ and then Jacob, and they, through my discussions with them on Discord, we all decided that we should try me coming on to try and help grow with my sales experience, try and grow Subtract. We are, like I said, we're still figuring out exactly what that is going to look like. But I think here in a couple of months, we'll have it pretty ironed out. But as things stand right now, I am doing all of the quoting. AJ has turned that over to me in its entirety for the most part. As I'm getting more comfortable with that, I'm taking on the account management as well. So, once we get a client coming on board, any of the issues that they may have will run through me. AJ has kind of taken over more of the operations side of after we make the sale. He is in charge of finding the vendor to take the job and any of the issues that may pop up, and then the shipping of the parts and all of that, post-processing. And then Jacob is the technology side of things, and kind of the one that keeps us all in line and keeps us moving forward. So, yeah, I think in the beginning, when we decided that I was going to come on, we kind of wanted to test the waters first to see if we worked well together. And I feel like so far we do. I think we all get along well, and we all what other people, yes, we complement each other well. So I think that's going to, coalesce and come together. And I think we're going to become a pretty strong team and be able to take Subtract to some pretty amazing things. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, and it's on me to go find it.
There you go. Well, happy hunting.
Thank you. I've already started in some ways. The first few weeks was really just kind of wrapping my head around quoting, because I had never really done much quoting as it pertains to machining. All my work had come through Xometry for the most part. So I needed to kind of cut my teeth as far as, learn how to do that. Now that I'm feeling a little more comfortable with that, and AJ's developing a quoting platform for us, that's kind of allowed me some time to start growing relationships with other industry partners and other vendors. And here, I'm starting to reach out to new potential clients. That will need to ramp up quite a bit. We've been kind of quietly doing some rebranding and changing logos and things like that, which will be coming out soon. And now that we've got that finalized, we're going to start making some big pushes with email campaigns and marketing. And I think IMTS is going to be a really big coming out party for Subtract. It'll be my first time going to IMTS, and I'm going to be talking to as many people that will listen about Subtract while we're there.
Good deal. That's awesome. That is awesome.
It's been fun so far, but it's also going to be a challenge. Brand awareness is hard to develop.
It is, but as with machining, that too will compound over time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
definitely, there's a lot of potential for growth with Subtract, and it's just a matter of high value activities and spending your time on those high value activities and doing it over and over and over again.
Well, good deal. And with that, I think I am getting pretty close to the end. You got anything else you particularly want to focus on or talk about?
Not that I can think of. I think I'm going to do a fire sale on the remaining wallets. So if anybody wants one, they're going to be half price on the website.
Yeah, I was earlier. I was looking at your website and was trying to figure out if there where was the I was trying to see if there's a buy now, but I couldn't find one. Oh, there it is. Okay,
Yeah.
I just clicked on the wrong page. Okay,
There should be, if you're in a good website, you should have a buy now page or button on every single page. And I can't remember. I set it up so long ago. I can't remember if that's the case on mine or not.
well, I'd clicked like why Sigma or origin story or how it works, and once I got onto
Mm-hmm.
those pages, I couldn't get back to the purchasing page.
Yes, and that's something I should probably change is have a link back to buying one at every single page.
Yeah, or just
Yeah,
or just have something at the top that says store, because although this is your
yeah,
only thing that's for sale, but
right. I remember when I was setting up the website that I picked Square, I think, or Wix or whatever it is, and I was very limited in what I was able to do with the different buttons that are up top because I wanted to have a button that just says buy now or something like that right in the middle on the top, and I couldn't do it for some reason.
yeah, another thing that like would potentially make this a little bit nicer is, well, for one, I have no idea how many inserts or cards this one holds.
Mhm.
If I just wanted to buy, the front or the back or replacement parts, or if I wanted to make a mega wallet, um,
Yeah, the way that they're sold right now, there's just one, and it comes
mhm.
with five. It holds 8 cards, and there's 5 plates to each one. I thought about trying to sell the different pieces and parts for it, but never really got that far.
Mhm.
So at this point, I guess if you're really interested in, building one, just email the info at Sigma Wallet with your idea, and I'm sure I can work something out.
There you go. You heard it here first. So, well, good deal. Well, Josh, I appreciate you coming in and filling in for AJ this week.
Yeah, thanks
Uh,
for
it's
having me.
it's been great to have you on, and and I look forward to seeing how Subtract and your part in that grows over time.
I do as well. Thank you, Harrison. Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, we've reached the end of this week's podcast, and I want to thank you for hanging out with us and catching up with us this week. Please like and subscribe. It's really important that you subscribe because the YouTube channel has hit all of the metric it needs to be monetized except subscribers. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel and please tell everyone you know to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Anyways, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to us, and we'll catch you next week.
Taps and patience, our daily grind. In this machine shop, we'll always find joyous struggles, all intertwined. Taps and patience, one of a kind.
Hi, it's me. We actually had AJ this week, but because of constant hotel internet interruptions right in the middle of the original recording, well, AJ and Harrison, they decided to cut it off. I was able to recover about 15 minutes of the original episode before the internet got too bad. The quality is, not great. Because I like you guys and I have no sense of time boundaries, I'm going to go ahead and play it anyways. So, special thanks to Josh and Harrison for being super flexible this week. Without them, we wouldn't have had any episode at all. Without further ado, the episode you were supposed to get this week.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the 159th episode of Taps Patience. I am AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro, here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity. Hi Harrison, how you doing?
I am doing good. How are you doing, AJ?
I am still kind of coming off of being sick, so you may hear that in my voice a little bit, and I might cough at you some, but otherwise, not terrible.
Okay. What you've been having going on this last week?
Well, over the weekend, I did some more machining, shipped a couple of relatively easy parts. Some were polycarbonate that had a kind of high finish call out, but really wasn't that bad. And then the other ones were some aluminum parts that I originally intended on making out of sheet. And then I ordered the sheet and then looked at the order again and realized the customer specified it was like 7075 aluminum temper T7351 or something like that. And that's only available in bar. And I ordered sheet. And so then I had to reorder material for that one and then remake the parts. So I ended up spending like $800 on material for a like $1,500 job, which I didn't love. But
Yeah.
I then also had to make parts that I was definitely planning on doing plate work style, like super glue and tape them. And I ended up having to do them salami slicing, which probably actually worked out better, but it was slower.
Fair enough.
Other than that, been teaching. I actually took a couple days off over the weekend. I think it was Saturday. I didn't do any work whatsoever, which hasn't happened in like months. So that was nice.
Good deal.
And I've been working on some of that kind of software stuff. But what have you been up to?
Well, I've been running around like a chicken with its head cut off.
You're in trip recovery mode.
Yeah, last week was rough because of the jet lag, and then over the weekend was my brother got married, and so we had to travel to Tennessee. And so Wednesday and Thursday, because of the jet lag, I woke up at 3 a.m. on both days and couldn't go back to sleep. And so on Wednesday, I just went into the shop at like 4. Like I was awake and I was like, okay, so I just went into the shop, got in there super early, trying to help catch up because we were behind because I had been gone. And while I was gone, one thing I forgot to mention is we got approved for some of our production parts. And
Woohoo.
so Wednesday, at the end of Wednesday, one of the things that I did was I tried to run some production parts overnight on the Doosan, on the SDM. And I woke up again at 3 a.m. and the Doosan was supposed to finish at like what would have been? It would have been like midnight or 1 in the morning, and at 3 a.m. it was still running, and that really freaked me out. And so I got out of bed and I ran to the shop and I checked it out, and turns out that it at about 2 hours into it changed tools, and there was one tool path that I had changed before I left, and it ran into a radius that was too small. And so it just sat there and ran 12K from like 9 to 3 a.m. in one spot at 12K and just sat there. And so I got that fixed up and I got it running, and I came back to the house and tried to sleep and couldn't really, and then came back in around 7. And then on Friday, I had to leave. My flight left at 6 a.m. So I had to wake up at 3 a.m. And by that point, I was so tired. Like I'd done that 2 nights, and by the third night, I had no energy left, but I had to. And so, needless to say, going into the wedding weekend, I have been exhausted. The wedding was on Sunday, and it got done at like 9 or 10 p.m. And then it's about an 11-hour drive back home, and we drove. I ended up driving till about midnight, finding a hotel. So I flew down, but then I rode back with my wife. My wife drove up earlier, so make that a little bit clear. I flew out, but I rode back with my wife. So I drove till about midnight, got a hotel, and then got up at about 6, and then hit the road and ended up getting back at around 2 p.m. in the afternoon yesterday. And the reason I was trying to rush back so fast was because on Saturday, I got an email from one of my customers wanting rush parts over the weekend. And like the shop was gone. Weston, like I was gone. Weston was at the wedding. His one of his little girls was in the wedding. And then employee Ben was supposed to come in on Monday, but he got sick. And so he didn't show up yesterday. And so it's been a, pardon my French, but a shit show for the last week.
You know, you are allowed to say no to rush orders.
Yeah. Well, I told them and they gave me an extra day. So,
Okay.
But hopefully we'll get them. They wanted them today, and I'll have them. I've got most of them done. I'll finish up the last few in the morning, and then we'll go deliver them. But yeah, I mean, this one customer, they've been a lot of my woes, and the blessing and the curse of this customer has been that our production jobs have not gone as well as we'd like. We're about 2 months behind on all the production work. And the holdover that has kept us afloat financially has been this customer. My frustration with this customer is that everything that they do, they have poor planning and they need it like now. And when I'm trying to do production work and troubleshoot and get all that going, it's really frustrating to be like, hey, I need these parts in 3 days. Hey, I need these parts in 4 days. Hey, I need these parts, and it's just, it's nice because all that rush work is helping to hold us over financially, but it's in a way, it's also a hindrance in pushing us further back because we can't get the other stuff going faster, if that makes sense. So it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. So
Pumpkin plan, Harrison. Pumpkin plan.
we're growing fast enough that like we're starting to really push the limits and finding some breaking points in the company of like things that like are outside of, they don't feel like they should be out of our reach, but just because of the systems and the stuff that we have going on, it's really pushing us to the breaking point on a lot of them. And some of that is like new requirements on production work that we haven't had in the past, that like, we've done production parts for, some of these different customers in the past, but now they're wanting more stuff and there's more hoops for us to go through that we just didn't know about on the front end when we bid the work. So
like what?
So when we did the magwells, for example, they didn't have any sort of like requirements beyond like a couple critical to quality features, even though, they had like, 50 or 60 measurements on all the parts. They only required a certain percentage of them that were critical to quality to be like measured, checked, verified, good to go. And so like looking back on that job, we got very lucky with that job. And like our quality has increased over time. And like, I'm sure we're hitting everything really good today. But if you look back, there was definitely times where I could like look at parts and go, okay, it's not a critical feature. It's not a big deal, but visually I can tell something's just a little bit off. And so like we would tweak it and get it better. Like the customer never complained about any of them because like all of the critical quality stuff was in spec, but some of the visual elements of it like might have been a little bit iffy here and there at times. But over time of running those parts, we kept improving the quality of them as we kind of got experience with the part. These parts that we're doing, they want every single dimension on the thing measured, validated, and in spec. And it's so many different measurements. It's really the GD&T, like, a surface needs to be, a surface profile needs to be in spec. And it's new features and new problems that we have to measure with the CMM and then fix on the machine that we've never dealt with. And they're visual features that make zero difference to the functionality of the part, but they want they want everything to be 100% inspect. And the problem is that when we originally quoted these, we had 2 or 3 months to get them going, and then they ran out of stock and wanted them like rushed. But then, so one person wanted them rushed, and a different person wouldn't approve them, and so it was like, you know, one side of the company was like, send them. The other side was like, wait, fix this. And so like they weren't really talking to each other, and it was just really frustrating.
Classic.
So, but we learned a lot through that process. They are honestly some of the best looking parts I feel like we've ever produced at volume now. It's definitely leveled us up in like getting everything like absolutely perfect, and like pushing stuff through the CMM constantly, and like checking things and like seeing how the machine warms up, and just like staying on top of everything at a level that we weren't doing before, but we weren't expecting any of that on the front end. So it's just been like a whole different level of production exposure that we just haven't had to deal with all the stuff we've done up to this point. But I wouldn't say it's a negative. It's just drinking from a fire hose with a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time, because we have that going on. So we had that going on. We had medical stuff like trying to get our AS 9100 certifications and doing training. We had the rush parts. We had my Japan trip, and so like all of these things all happening simultaneously was like just a lot for us to bear. And today, for the first time, I feel like I see some light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to get some stuff nailed down. We're starting to get, the road starting to smooth out, and I'm starting to see some forward momentum when it feels like we've been just going off the beaten path and just stuck in a rut trying to get down the trail. So, oh, and you've paused. Hello? AJ. Jacob. This is where you need some sort of like elevator music or something as we wait for AJ.
And we're back?
Hey!
I have no idea what that just did to our recording, though. It says we're recording.
It hasn't stopped counting for me. So this will be fun. Hopefully your data recording is okay
I have zero
Local-
faith and confidence in that.
locally. So
because on my end it just restarted from 0.
that's
I don't know
that's
what
fun.
to do.
Do we keep going and just see? Because mine's still counting.
I
from
don't-
like 16.
I don't know
And I
if
just
we
lost
bother.
you again.
Really? I'm gone. I can still hear and see
Oh,
you.
you're going robot on me.
I think we give it up.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, am I back?
Kind of. You're delayed a little.
I think we let this one rest, and we'll figure out what to do later.
When are you going to be back home for the when can you be home and podcast?
Friday. After Friday, I'm home again for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Do you want to try again on Friday? It'd have to be later. Like I do family dinners on Fridays,
Yeah.
but if you can go later on Friday, I could potentially do it. Like around
I have intern Friday
9
evening, but that's all.
like 8 p.m. my time, so 9 p.m. your time.
I will be so tired. I will be useless at 9 p.m. my time.
It's either that or potentially Saturday.
Well, then it's just next week.